Hair tells us a story. It helps to see the persona of the character, its status, and what it's been through. Hair ranges from extremely detailed art pieces to simple styles. Hence, it says a lot about the artist's style, taste preferences, and aesthetics. As complex as it sounds, drawing hair shouldn't be intimidating. Rather, it's very fun to play with. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name is blub, and today I'm going to show you how I approach drawing hair. For example, pin straight dark hair appear to be very professional and bold characteristics, whereas textured hair present themselves with very bubbly, approachable vibes. Colorful hair can make a character looks themselves to be very outgoing or extroverted personalities, while someone with very spiky hair can read be an overachiever, hardworking, or a tough character. These are all my personal opinion, by the way. Feel free to disagree with it. Before start learning, here are the few things that you need to consider. First is the proper stroking. Before drawing the hair strokes, you need to know that we don't draw hair as an individual strands. Rather than we tackle them as chunks of hair. Go to your brush settings and add the force fade feature right here. And I am going to add the length of the start and length of the end both to be 100%. It's going to ensure the strokes are smooth from the end to the start, or from the start to the end, so it will look more like hair. Number 2, avoid short streaky lines and opt for more of a long confident strokes, because short streaky lines doesn't look very nice, not very appealing to the eye, and it always causes a lot of mess. So of course we don't want that. You can practice those confident lines and strokes in a blank canvas for your convenience. We all know hair comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes and textures, but if we classify them broadly, there are usually 3 types: straight, wavy, and curly. Straight hair drawing is pretty easy, probably the easiest form. So you just draw straight lines because it lays flat on the scalp and hangs pretty straight. So it is very beginner friendly and highly recommend if you struggle with drawing hair. For both wavy and curly hair, you can imagine drawing the alphabet S, because this is going to be the curl pattern for this, and you can imagine the hair chunks like ribbons, so you can add another line to give it more dimension. Same goes for both wavy and curly hair, but in case of curly hair, the S pattern is more tighter, and for the wavy hair, it is more looser. There is another way to draw curly hair by drawing the spring-like structures, or more of like spiral structures, but this comes to be more complex, so I prefer to draw the curly hair using the S shape itself. After somewhat rough coloring, this is what the strands should look like. Let's take a look at this one. The shape of the hair usually starts at the top of the scalp, which is the highest point of the body right here, and falls down in this direction as a carpet layer or as a thick layer. Let's take this poor guy as an example and apply everything that we have learned so far. Remember just now how we learned how to draw or approach the chunk of the hair? Now let's apply it to the scalp. Personally, I like when my character have really fluffy hair. Most of my characters do. But if that's not something that you want, you can totally skip that and give the shape of the hair that you like. Oftentimes, I like to start sketching the hair from the bangs, but if you like, you can also start from the top of the head. Remember exactly how the way I pointed a dot on the top of the scalp. This is another way you can approach the hair, but totally up to you. Please don't let me tell you what to do. What is your preferable art style? Do you like really detailed, extraordinary, like dramatic type of hair, or are you more of a simplified minimalist aesthetic person? Do let me know in the comment section, because I'm really curious what people think. A little bit of adjustment here and there, and we're going to move into the next part, which is the line art. As you can see, I finished rest of the line art because these are not really relevant to the video, and I'm going to quickly finish up the hair as well. I reduced the opacity of the sketch layer to some extent, like almost you cannot see it, so the line art becomes really natural and doesn't look very artificial, which I know many of you struggle with. I personally used to struggle with line art a lot because my sketch would look really good, but then when I remove it, it looks really pathetic. But as you go on, you realize the tips and tricks. But if you want to learn it from me, do let me know in the comment section so I can make a video on how I approach my line art. Alright. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so line art of the hair is done. As you can see, the scalp is also very visible, so sorry for that. So first step I would do is I will block color the entire hair. Because I want to keep this tutorial very much beginner friendly, I am going to do it in a very basic brown hair. I'm not going all the crazy colors, so you can understand how the light and shading works for me, for my style, of course. I would like to add another layer on top of the coloring layer, and alpha lock it. I can also use clipping mask tool, so it will prevent color from getting literally everywhere else. The next thing we would like to do is actually color the skin underneath the hair, which means all the lights and shadows that's going to approach on his forehead because of the bangs. If your character doesn't have any bangs or any pieces of hair that is falling in its face, you can skip or ignore this step, but I would say that casting shadows around the face will also be helpful to enhance the visual thingies, and it helps the viewers to understand that the hair is actually around the head. Now, how I color and shade my skin would be a completely different topic, and it worth another video or another whole tutorial to be dedicated with. So I'm not going to describe a lot on how I shaded the skin, but let's move on to the hair now, which is our main concern. Since the brown or the shade of brown that I've chosen is already pretty warm, I want my initial shadows to be a little bit more on a cooler side to balance out the warmth of the color. So firstly, I added a little bit of desaturated purple color on the top of his head where the light is shining through or reflecting directly. I will keep the opacity low, very low in fact, so it is almost not really visible, but it will have a really good effect. While coloring or shading the hair, you will see me using a lot of unusual colors because I like to experiment and play with the hair colors and shadows and all that stuff. I really enjoy doing that, so I hope you don't mind. Now, the main highlight of the hair. I like to do the highlights first before I do the shadow. But notice how I'm adding the highlight in a circular manner because we all know the scalp and hair is literally a sphere or spherical in shape. Now I increased the size of the brush and added another circular line or circular border across the hair, and I am going to use the eraser to blend out or sharpen up the shadows or the highlights way more precisely. Before coloring or shading the hair, you must decide the light source, the direction in which the light is coming from. This will help you to determine where and how much the light is directly hitting the hair and how much is the reflective light. For me, the light source is going to be left top corner of the portrait. So the highlights that I am going to do is according to the light source only. As you can see, I used the eraser and created those angular types of shape throughout the hair. I added another layer clipped it so the hair highlight doesn't go everywhere, I used a really thin soft brush to start casting the main highlights. I know you have heard probably the word main highlight 5 times already, but trust me, the highlights are always buildable. You can add or remove whatever you don't like, so don't worry much about it. Just keep on doing, and if you don't like something, just erase it and redo it again. Since I'm using a very thin brush here, the shadows are going to be very precise. While using the eraser, I always keep in mind to create the shadow that initially looks somewhat like the H letter of English alphabet, because this is usually what smooth hair looks like when light directly hits it. The first layer of highlight for the hair was usually more of a purplish or cool tone grey colors, but now since a warm light is hitting the brown hair, it will always look more of a orangey or warm highlights. So now this is the thing that I am going to apply right now. All those purples and bluish grays that we have applied before are gonna do nothing but to apply visual interest and create balance in the hair. Use a really dark color and add the shadows down that all the chunks of hair are falling on, and you're nearly done.